on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 2, receive and place on file drainage repairs. I have none. Item number 3, Dale Struker, Chairman of Compensation Board, is an elected official, fiscal year 2016-17 salary recommendation.
Good morning. I'm Dale Struker. Ed O'Leary is also a member of the board. He's here. And according to Iowa code, of course, compensation board has to meet once a year and recommend salaries for the next year. And we met and we recommended for supervisors to be $36,593, the chairman $37,638, the sheriff $85,731, auditor $64,821, treasurer $64,821, recorder $64,821, and attorney $1,512. Is there any questions I can answer?
Is this a cost of living raise or just?
No, cost of living was nothing this year, but if you remember about 5 years ago, none of the elected officials have any salary increases at that time, and this is sort of a catch-up from back then, so, and what we try to do is, Webster County is rated number 17th in population-wise, and we wanted to stay as close to that as possible. And right now, the attorney is rated 24th highest rated attorney in the state. Sheriff is 21, auditor is 21, supervisors are 19, treasurer's 20th, and recorder 17th. And what would really, to us, be nice would be 17th or 18th. But right now, budget-wise and everything else, this is what we figure is most reasonable for us to get as close. We really won't move at all. We'll probably stay where we are now. But, that was part of our reasoning too, that we would like to get everybody close to, like Webster County, 17 rated, so.
We don't ever catch up.
Well, no.
Never happens.
Well, we've got close to right around 18th and 19th a lot of times, but for a while we just kept, because of budget restraints you guys had and stuff, we lost ground here over the last 3 or 4 years. And now we're just sort of holding our own, or you guys are holding your own with your budgets and how the elected officials are rated.
I believe here it's 2% overall, right?
Yeah, yes.
We do talk about dollars, but just it's easier to tell people.
Yeah. Like I said, it was like 5 or 6 years ago that there was no raises at all. The cost of living, I think, went up like 1.7, 1.9 at that time. The difference right now is from the last 5 years, it's 10.3 and 8.7 is the difference between salaries and the cost of living in that time span.
Well, we thank you for all the work that you do.
Well, I just run a tape. The other board members take care of everything else. So, thanks.
We do appreciate all the work and what you do on this, and we will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale.
Yeah.
Item number 4, approve an authorized lease agreement with Access Systems for copier and recorder's office.
Those item 4, Mr. Chairman. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second.
Lindsay Beckman, Webster County Recorder. Just for your information, in December of 2014, the county entered an agreement with Access Systems for 24 months for the copy machine in the recorder's office. This machine does do the copy and fax, printing and scanning capabilities. The agreement that we are currently in will end December 2016. My reason for this was I went to do my budget and realized that to be able to plan. So we looked into a new agreement. This new lease agreement will be for 60 months, which is a 5-year term. Our current monthly payment will drop from $195 to $166. This will also be a new machine, which will provide us with a newer, upgraded model from the current model that we actually do have now, with the same capabilities, but with more memory. Any questions for me? Thanks.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 5, consider approve request from Kevin L. Black, President of Department of Bank, to purchase tax certificate number P150013, Lot 7, Lot 3, Lynn's
Chairman, I'll move item 6.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, I presume since it's not done, that this is just substantial completion. I mean, we're not, I just want to make sure we're not agreeing. I mean, I believe there's still some questions over
Yep. This is just a
on
substantial
on the
completion.
door and different things on what direction it's going, so. Does
This is
it prove this as it's, you're gonna mean we can't take care of those items?
No, this is generally just part of the process. Substantial completion means that we agree that, and the contractors agree that we can move in and occupy, or we've already moved in and occupied. So it's a formality, but no, it does not, keep us from making sure that everybody's held accountable for the project, much less completed, and all that stuff.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 7, receive and place on file resignation of David Fisher as Sumner Township trustee effective January 1st, 2016.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All
They are appointed.
in favor?
Yeah, they're going to do their budget and they, appoint a sponsor. Really see like that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 8, approve and authorize chair to sign permit from Frontier Communications to directional bore 50 pair fiber optic cable near 2761 200th Street in section 13, township 89 north, range 28 west, Cooper Township.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 8. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Randy?
Unless you have any questions, I don't have any. This is near broke-off facilities. They're just probably needing better upgraded service.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 9, approve and authorize chair to sign permit from Frontier Communications to plow 12 pair fiber optic cable along the south side of 140th Street and west of Highway 169 in section 26, township 90 north, range 29 west, Deer Creek Township.
Mr. Chairman, I move as read with the addition of, this is subject to a drainage agreement being signed for Drainage District 360.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Randy, any questions?
Don't have any comments.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 10, approve and authorize chair to sign permit from Frontier Communications to plow and directional bore 12 pair fiber optic cable along the west side of Madison Avenue near 1650 Madison Avenue in section 1, township 89 north, range 29 west, Douglas Township.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve item number 10.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Randy, you have anything?
No, but, right, back to number 9, okay, what tends to happen here, you sign these documents, I sign it, you sign it, we mail a signed copy back to the utility company, so somebody will have to put a cover letter, usually we don't write a thorough cover letter, we'll have to put some kind of a, somebody out to work with Doreen or what.
Drink.
Be careful, you made a,
Drink.
exception to the number 9, so I gotta make sure that's.
I got a cover letter from Drain saying what they have to do.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 11, Carrie Prescott, Public Health Director, to report on the Family Foundation Home Visitation Program receiving Iowa Family Support Credentials.
Good morning. I'm Carrie Prescott from the Health Department. I'm the director. I would like to invite you and the public to attend a celebration on January 26th from 1 to 2 p.m. at our place, at our office located at 723 First Avenue South, Suite 220. Our child health program has recently been credentialed through the Iowa Family Support Standards. I'm sure that doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a lot in our world. They are standards, they are 138 standards. I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of explain the process of how we become accredited. It's a 6-month process. It's an intense review of our three standards within our department. They evaluate our governance, which includes policies and procedures, philosophy, mission, professional conduct, ethics, our open and transparency policies and procedures, our culturally competent work staff, our trained personnel, confidentiality, grievance, leadership, and fiscal. So for 6 months, they come in and they review all of our policies. They don't just review them, we have to show proof that we are following our policies and procedures that have been approved by our board. From that first 6 months, the second piece that they come and look at is our family visitation program. In that, there are assessments, screenings, there's family planning, there's a how accessible are we to the public, what are our health services, what are our early interventions for developmental and mental health for our children, what are the services we provide to the parents, and what are the services we provide to our children. Not only do they look at our agency, how did we meet those standards, they also visit with our families. They arbitrarily pick families out of the 68 people that are families that are on our rolls, and they arbitrarily pick them, and then they do visits with them and ask them in-depth questions about the services they receive from our agency. The third piece of the credentialing is the community-based piece, which means how are we connected in the community? How do we communicate with the board of supervisors? How do we communicate with our board of health? How are we considered a liaison between the DHS system, the court system, and our families within our communities? Not only do they look at our policies and procedures, then they also communicate with those community partners and ask them in-depth questions about the services they receive. So this is kind of a big deal for our public health department. There are 138 standards, and out of all of them, we ranked 1, which is the best rating, and on 3 of them we rated 2. So that means we just need to strengthen our policies and procedures, and most of them were about internal ethics, how we needed to prove that we have ethical people, and sometimes that's a little hard to do, but we're working on that. So I do invite you to come. It's the 26th of January. You should be proud of this program within the health department because it is a top-notch program in the community. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 12, Mickey Schuman to discuss the Iowa Partnership for Success program.
Hi, I'm Mickey Schuman with Community and Family Resources. I'm the Iowa Partnership for Success Grant Coordinator for Webster County. Basically what the state did is they did an assessment of all 99 counties. Webster County was in the top 20 for rates of underage drinking and youth binge drinking. So they then put out RFA where we could, or RFP so that we could write for this grant, and they ended up funding the top 12 through that. So it was not a competitive process per se, it was a needs-based grant. So we've received this, and we have started work, it was a year ago in February that we started doing this work, and basically what we did is we went and did an assessment of Webster County. We got a collaboration council together. We meet at least once a month for a couple hours, and we're starting to pick strategies. What the state wants us to do is have one individual strategy that would be like a curriculum in the schools or the college. The one that the group has decided to go with is, or try to implement, is All-Stars for the middle schoolers. So I'm working with all of the middle schools in Webster County to try to get this into their day. If they can't get it into their normal day, maybe do an after-school program, that type of thing. The other thing that the grant wants us to do is do 4 environmental strategies. One is the media campaign that they set forth. We have nothing really to do with that. They send it down, they say distribute this, and that's all we have to do with that. The other ones are picked by the group. So our collaboration council has met. This last meeting that we had, we narrowed it down. We had 2 Fort Dodge City Council members attend, the mayor of Badger, and a Dayton City Council member attend. So what they decided as far as the to be a county-wide one. Just because, in my experience for Hamilton County, that's where I was a coordinator before, they did it city by city. The cities then kind of expressed to me, well, what about the unincorporated areas? That's really hard to determine, you know, who's going to be charging and that kind of thing. So we decided on the county-wide ordinance. I have talked to the county attorney, I've talked to the sheriff, the Fort Dodge Police Department. They're all saying that they would support this if we went ahead and did a county-wide ordinance. Basically, what we're trying to do with this county ordinance is catch those youth that are 18, 19, and 20 years old. Because the state does have a social host law that only covers 17 and under. So if there's a party that the police officers are called to for, say, you know, there was a disturbance for noise or whatever, and they come to a party and it's all 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, they would not be able to charge the host of the party with social host because they're in that age group that isn't covered by the state. If we had a local ordinance that covered that age group, then they would go under the local ordinance and would be able to be charged as a social host. So I have included in your little packets the state law. I have a couple of little informational sheets that just give some statistics on the Iowa Youth Survey about Webster County youth. There's one that has a graph on it, and it has on here, most underage drinkers from Webster County obtain their alcohol at a party. So this is all according to the Iowa Youth Survey, and I believe all of Webster County schools did participate in the 2014 Iowa Youth Survey. So they're saying that 15%, which is the highest percent where they've gotten it from, are getting it at parties. The next lowest one is 13% gave someone money to buy it, and 13% a friend who was under 21 gave it to me, 11% a friend who is over 21 gave it to me, 4% say they buy it themselves, and 2% say they got it from a parent. That's 11 traders. We also have the lighter blue one is the 8th graders, and 4% of them say they got it at a party, 2% say that they gave somebody money to buy it, 2% for a friend under 21 gave it to them, 2% friend over 21 gave it to them, none said that they bought it themselves, so that's a good thing, and 4% said that they got it from a parent. So with this being a town that has 2 colleges in it, with James and Iowa Central, we have quite a few 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. So even if, say, somebody's 21 and they decide to have their buddies over, they could still get charged as a social host under a local ordinance. I also included a sample ordinance. The county attorney and one of the city council members does not like this ordinance. It's not worded very well. This is the sample that I had at the time, so I just wanted to make you aware that we do have resources where we can get sample ordinances to try to make our ordinance very strong. So obviously we would want to reword it and get it to you guys' satisfaction, get it so that the community knows about it. We're going to do a lot of publicity about, you know, this coming up and that type of thing. You guys can decide on what you want for fines, what you want the language to say, and we can all work that out with the county attorney.
What are some of the other initiatives that you've heard us talk about?
The other one that we would probably need your approval on is minor in possession. When I was talking to Chief Doty, he was telling me about the city of Fort Dodge has got where if they have a youth, they can breathalyze them to prove possession. Even if they don't have a beer or whatever in their hand, they can breathalyze them in their system and charge them with possession. He has stated that the county does not have an ordinance like that, so that could be something that we could pursue. The other thing that the group talked about is possibly having some language in an ordinance where the youth would be required to go have an evaluation if they get a minor in possession. The county attorney was going to kind of sort of look into that and see if that would be possible. I'm not for sure how that would be worded or anything, but the way Chief Doty was talking to me yesterday about it, It's worked pretty well in the city of Fort Dodge, using the breathalyzer for possession. So that would be a possible county ordinance that we could also do. So that would be the second environmental strategy. The third one would be alcohol restrictions at community events. I've talked pretty extensively with Sheriff Stubbs and Chief Doty about all the community events that happen in Webster County. They say that they do a pretty good job. There is a lot of use of wristbands and that type of thing to prevent underage youth from getting alcohol. What we want to do is formalize that. There's not very many that have a formalized policy saying if they get ID when they come up to purchase alcohol, they would get a wristband. That way they would know. So we could just work on formalizing policies with those community events. So that one means they're already doing that stuff. It's probably not going to be a real hard sell for them to just go ahead and formalize it. So that would be their third thing.
Can I ask, I'm just curious questions. You said that we were in the top 20 in the county. Do you know where we rated?
The state will not tell us.
And I'm just curious because population-wise, we're number 17, so we're in the top 20. You know, I'm looking for the significance of where what that figure is.
Exactly. For my old grant in Hamilton County, they right away told everybody exactly where they ranked. That caused a huge problem, apparently. I came on in the last year and a half of that grant, so I don't know all the specifics, but I did ask when this grant was handed down to me where we ranked, just so that I would have that information, and the state said that they were not going to release that because it did cause significant problems. I don't know if it was just problems within the coordinators or the counties or exactly what it was, but oh well, you're number one, you've got the worst rates.
Well, I mean, what is it? What is it rating? I mean, number of incidents or percentages? What is it?
They take into account all the different information that they have, all the data, according to the Iowa Youth Survey, according to arrest records, OWIs by underage youth. They have a ton of data that they work off of to determine the top 20.
Then the other question I have is your strategies here for success. Do you feel these are going to address the cause of the problem?
What we did through the county assessment workbook is we rated the intervening variables. So number one was individual factors. The All-Stars program would address that. Number two, let's see here, was, I can't remember. Number three was social availability. And these, the ordinances would address that. It would address it at community events, it would address it them getting alcohol at parties, and it would address them being out and having alcohol just out in the community. So all three of those ordinances would address that social availability. And that was number three, I think.
Maybe I didn't ask my question correctly. Do you think it will stop this from happening?
I don't think anything that we do is going to stop it completely. Youth are very crafty and they can get their hands on just about anything that they really want to. I think that it will be a bigger deterrent. In the sample ordinance, the fine for a social host the first time is $500. The second time and subsequent offenses is $750. In Webster City, they do have this social host ordinance, and they have had no repeat offenders. They've used it, I believe, 5 times since 2011. So it hasn't been used a ton, but that's what we want ordinances and laws to do, is to deter people from doing the bad behaviors to begin with.
What is the fine currently for a minor in possession?
I don't know for sure. They were talking, it was between 65 and 100.
Why would
And then there's-
why would you make that 500 the same as the social host?
The group thought that, because we did talk about increasing that fine, they felt that if it's a minor that has a but then they would also be getting help if they need it. That's why they were leaning towards having them have an evaluation. So, and we could go either way on that, the minor possession. We could either go with the making them have an evaluation or the breathalyzer. We could do both if we really wanted to.
Well, don't we have laws now that people get charged for supplying beer to minors?
Yeah, we do.
So,
I don't,
isn't that being prosecuted, or why do we need another law when we already have that law?
well, one of the things that the social host does is it makes it a little bit easier for law enforcement. They don't have to necessarily find out who actually bought the beer or the alcohol. They can just come up to a party, whoever is the adult that owns, leases, or rents the property, they would be able to be charged, because if they knowingly allow.
That's the problem.
What if they're not present?
Yeah.
I talked to the Webster City Police Department about that. Basically what they do is if the parent or the adult that's over 21 is not present, say they're out of state, they contact them, say, this is happening in your home, do you know about it? They obviously would say, no, we're out of state. If they go back to that same residence again, so the first time's kind of like a warning. If they go back to that same residence again, the same thing happens, oh, well, we were out of town. They would probably go ahead and charge them then, because, well, you should have taken precautions, you knew that this has happened before. So it would be up to officer discretion, and we could put wording in the ordinance to kind of help with that. That would be entirely up to you guys and the county attorney and how you would want it worded.
Randy, you had a question?
You said that Webster County, you didn't know how they rank. Do you have a list of the other 19 counties? Do you have access to that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I can get that
Okay.
and send it
Curious.
to Mark, and then Mark can get it out to everybody.
Question, yes, sir.
You're talking about a host. Say you have property and college kids are coming on it and you don't know about it. The only reason I found out about it is because I noticed there were some bonfires on my land.
Mhm.
And I noticed the college kids were down there having a party. Otherwise, I can't see all my land, you know, if they come on. I was just wondering how that would affect.
That would be up to the officer discretion, but obviously if you don't know those youth, you didn't know that it was happening, the police contact you, you know, that would be a different situation than you being in the home or on the land with them. That's usually what they get charged, or how they get charged, is if the adult is present and they're like, oh, you know, they're downstairs. Because what we're trying to combat is the mentality of adults going ahead and allowing underage people to come in their house and drink because, oh, well, they're here, I'm gonna keep them safe, I've taken their keys, they'll be fine. That's what we're trying to kind of combat, is that mentality, to try to make it more of a social norm that, no, it's not okay for anybody to give alcohol to anybody that's under 21.
And we have a law right now that do that. It's just not being enforced. So I don't know, another law is gonna help that out, we already have a law that says that. I mean, that's my problem with all this, is more laws doesn't necessarily stop the crime. I mean, if we would actually enforce the laws we have and prosecute them to the biggest extent we could, that would be, we gotta start there.
Chief Cody, do you have anything to add? History with this?
Yeah.
Have you heard other county, I mean,
I've not heard of it. I know Lynn County has a social ordinance, posting ordinance, and what you're saying is, yes, we have laws in effect today that if you're supplying alcohol to a minor, you could be charged. What this does, I guess, to me, it makes it a little easier for law enforcement to go ahead and file some type of charge against the people involved. And the idea, like Webster City did, okay, I didn't know the kids were having a party. Understand that does happen. But second time around, if you're out of town and your kids are having a party at your house, you should, as a responsible parent, take action to make sure that that's not going to happen the second time, whether it's having people check on your house or something to make sure it doesn't happen again. And the whole problem is that if you say, okay, it's all right, eventually then we have somebody that's killed and then it's not all right. And it's such a terrible thing, and it is a terrible thing to lose a young life because of their use of alcohol. But then everybody remembers that for a while, and pretty soon they forget it. Well, this is just one more tool. This is not gonna be, I don't think for us, and I can't speak for Jim, that we're gonna go out and look for every party we can find and hold everybody accountable. You know, if we come across those parties, this gives us another tool to go after the people that are allowing this to happen. And that's just what it is. You know, we have laws on the books. We have a lot of laws on the books. And those are all tools that we use. Do we use all of them every day, probably to the fullest extent? Probably not, but this just gives us one more option. She talked about the alcohol in possession. We find that to be very effective. We go in to do a bar check and we see young people that we think have been drinking. We test them. If they test with PPT that they have alcohol in the system, we charge them with that. That's been a real good test. That's a.
Can't you charge them for just around it too?
Well, but.
Could you?
You can, but if there's a table here and there's a bunch of beers on this table and I'm over here, how are you gonna tell me that which one of those beers is mine? Where if you got it in your body, you're not supposed to possess it, you're underage, then you get cited for it. And I think that helps. Again, it's one more tool that we use.
Sure.
Part of the thing that makes either a city ordinance or a county ordinance more effective as a tool for law enforcement officers is the fact that it is a civil infraction, so the burden is less. It's not necessarily that there are criminal laws out there that aren't being utilized or that aren't being prosecuted to the fullest extent. It's more that this, any ordinance has a lower burden, a lower threshold that has to be met. For instance, the state law that deals with this particular instance or this particular violation requires that somebody knowingly permit any person to either consume, possess, purchase alcohol. As Chief Doty alluded to, you, by implementing an ordinance, can, in essence, do away with that knowing element. In this situation with the minors in possession, typically law enforcement or prosecuting attorneys would have to prove that the minor actually possessed the alcohol, where in this instance, you're not proving that they possessed it at the time officers issued the citation or saw the incident. You're just proving that they possessed it at some point in time because they tested with the PPT and tested, the presence of alcohol, period. So, without stating our opinion one way or the other, I did speak with Mickey. Ms. Benson spoke with Mickey regarding this. We do see it as a tool that would be useful in certain situations. And given the ordinance was created, to be effective for law enforcement, Mickey did state the example ordinance that she provided. Ms. Benson and I both looked at it and don't agree that that would necessarily be the best route to go, but I stated to Mickey that if this was the direction that the board wanted to go, we would certainly help draft something that would be effective. Supervisor Campbell, one question you asked was why is the minor Well, the state law says that it is a simple misdemeanor violation. Well, I'll just read you the language exactly. A person who is the owner or lessee of a piece of property or who otherwise has control of the property shall not knowingly permit any person knowing or having reasonable cause to believe the person to be under the age of 18 to consume or possess on such property any alcohol, liquor, wine, or beer. So it's basically saying if you're under the age of 18, that individual's committed a simple misdemeanor for providing you the alcohol. But it doesn't make any reference to over the age of 18.
And it says no.
Exactly.
Too. So this is a counter to take care of 18 to 21-year-olds and take away the knowingly part out.
Correct.
So what you're saying is they can unknowingly come on your property and drink and hold a landowner responsible? So if I have an abandoned farm out in the country and some kids pull over there and have a party and that abandoned farm is clear up by Benson, maybe up by Keats, and I live down by Dayton, and I go up there to do my farming and I come home and they have a party, I'm gonna be responsible? I have an issue with that.
Understandably
I'm
so.
not there, and I can't be 30 miles away.
And that was some of the issues that I have with the proposed ordinance, or the example ordinance that was provided. There has to be some lack or failure to act on the landowner's part. They have to have, not a direct knowledge, not necessarily they provided the alcohol to the minor directly, but they have to have some knowledge that that activity is going on and failing to act on that knowledge. So in the instance with the bonfires and that was brought up in the county, if you know that that activity is going on and you fail to report it to law enforcement, that knowledge of your failure to report that activity to law enforcement could be used against them in at least some of these ordinances that I've looked at for examples.
Sheriff Stubbs?
To, first off, I guess, to get to the whole options or the plan of this, and some of this was laid out by the state that you have to choose from this. My point, obviously, is that the very first thing, and probably the most important thing we need to do, because if you look at the data that I believe Mickey passed out, they're interviewing sixth graders about how much alcohol they drink. Well, I have a fifth grader, and his relationship to alcohol might be the fact that if I'm doing something or we have company, he goes down the basement and grabs a beer and brings it up. He might consider that. I'm not saying that's good parenting. I'm just saying that he might consider that his relationship to alcohol. I don't know. So our very first thing, I believe, and our most important thing before we go and throw ordinances and try to arrest people is that we educate those sixth graders and seventh graders about the responsibility of alcohol. We're not going to obviously eliminate alcohol in Webster County with any ordinance, so we need to educate these people to understand what their responsibility is, along with parents. Good point on the social host ordinance. My thoughts on that were I don't like the one that she has a sample of. Obviously, she didn't, Mickey didn't write it, but I don't care for that one. I think it's very hard to enforce. I think you have problems as stated here. So I would reserve, I guess, more or less my opinion on social host ordinance until I see it, because that's not the one for me, the one that's here. So I would have to see it first. Possession of alcohol, as Chief Doty has stated, actually the Iowa Code, and there are a couple magistrates that will, because we have charged it, we didn't need a county ordinance if you blow in your PBT, which by law, we have to do everybody under 18 at a party, because you can't go to a party and let them go if they've been drinking. You have to contact a parent or guardian, or they have to get a ride, or Johnny, their best friend who's 19, can't take them, even if he hasn't. So there is a law, and we have charged them, and we've had success with it, with the magistrates, that they consider that possession of alcohol. I can't speak for all of them, but I know a couple of them have. And that fine, as Mickey stated, and I think she's not looking at everything, and maybe Ryan knows, but the fines is considerably more by the time you have the fine, the court costs and the surcharges and everything. I think that maybe a substance abuse evaluation, like we do for OWIs, probably might not hurt if we can do that. I don't know if we can actually do it, but I think that's probably not a bad idea. I don't remember what else I was gonna say. I think before we start to throw ordinances at things, we need to compare to what we have for state laws. I need to see that social horse ordinance before I'm gonna throw my full support behind it, because as I stated before, I think the one that's out there, and Ryan made that statement, he doesn't really care for it. I think it's hard to enforce. I think it's, has problems. But if we can curtail that down, I think if we are going to eliminate underage drinking in Webster County, I still fall back to education is our best thing, because if we go out with the idea that we are going dead set on charging everybody that we possibly can, I look at it as, why do we want to affect somebody's life? And I know they may be in an accident, and they're always going to do that, but why do we want to have somebody with a record that maybe that's going to be their one time in their life, and it's going to come back and haunt sometime later? I just, personally, I have a little conflict with that. But it's a good grant, it's a good program. The ordinances, I don't know, we have some state laws that we can go by. And I've talked to Mickey before. Honestly, if we go to your farm ground, and you're not there, and you could be in Dayton, but if we go there, I got news for you. It's a little different than in town here, where they're in a house, and that's Kevin's main things. But if we go to a farm out there, it's like stepping on an anthill, because they're just gone. So, and then we have the concern of have they been drinking, or how much have they been drinking, and now they're out maybe on ground they don't even know where they are. So now we have a concern about their safety, not only their drinking, which is part of their safety too. So we have that. So I think it's something to look at. I think if somebody comes up with a better social host ordinance, you know, it's something that we ought to look at. I'm not saying that I'm against it, I'm just saying it's something we need to look at. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Not to belabor the point, but just to clarify a couple things that have been brought up. If the board were now or in the future to develop a social host ordinance, it's my understanding that with a county infraction, you could not require a substance abuse evaluation. The Iowa law only allows for fines or to allow for penalties against landowners, like in planning and zoning violations and that kind of thing, and to force the situations to be rectified, not to impose any other penalties or things like that against individuals. And the second thing, just to make it clear to the board, Jennifer and I have each spoke with Mickey. We made it clear that, you know, in these situations when we're dealing with ordinances and proposed ordinances, our office works for the board of supervisors. So we will take your direction on, you know, if you would like to propose a different ordinance or something along those lines. So.
Well, I just have a couple comments. I like Clark's comment. I'd like a little more information, if it's at all possible to get, as to whether the need in Webster County is really there. You know, if we're in the top 20, we are a population of the top 20, you know. So that'd be just useful information. And then otherwise, we've talked a lot about, a lot of these state laws seem to be in place for 17 and younger. And I think there's a reason for that. Number one, when you're 18, I can't tell my 18-year-old daughter what to do. She's an adult. She's all on her own legally after that point. So I think this seems to be geared toward 18 to 21-year-olds, and I'm not sure that we can hold landowners or parents or people responsible for those people. They have to be responsible themselves. So I'd agree with Jim on education. And I don't know when the appropriate time is. My personal opinion would be it's not sixth graders. something maybe a little later. But then once we get to 18-year-olds, I'm just gonna be real hesitant to do that with anything.
Yes, sir?
Well, I guess, this is a situation that could happen. Well, what happens if you got, like, say, a wedding reception, and the underage person drank before he came to that? Are you gonna charge the people with the wedding? With the, with this, or?
It would be up to officer discretion, but I don't believe that that would happen that way, because the wedding party or wherever the wedding is at did not provide the place or the alcohol for that underage person.
But this is in this situation, the party, the reception does have alcohol at it.
As long as they didn't provide it to them and they can prove, well, they were already drinking before they came, they were, possibly acting out,
Because on the fairgrounds, we have a lot of times that people drink before they come out to the fairgrounds, and, for the reception and stuff. What happens, like I say, if somebody underage drinks and comes out there but doesn't drink, and he gets caught out there, who's the person that's going to get, with the social media, or, with the clients, with client you're talking, who's to say that they won't say that, maybe they were drinking there?
well, I would leave that up to Chief Doty and Sheriff Stubbs to kind of answer that question a little bit better, but I would think that it would be more of, okay, well, then that would be a minor possession, and they would do the breathalyzer test and just handle it that way.
But like I say, I just don't want to see the people that are having it get in trouble because somebody else came
Absolutely.
and drank before they came there.
And that's one of the things that the state would require me to do, is I would have to do a ton of education with parents, with community members, with youth. We did this over in Hamilton County. We had to get it in the paper. We had to have town hall meetings. We had to go to the schools and talk to them. We had to hand out flyers, all of this kind of information, just so that we're not out to get people in trouble, but we are out to get them to not provide alcohol to minors. So we want to educate them. So that would be the very first thing.
There might be times at the reception that somebody might supply it to that person that maybe we don't know about.
Yep. And that would be up to the officer discretion, and I don't see any officer coming into a wedding reception and charging somebody like that. Chief Doty, do you have any thoughts on that?
We don't get called to too many wedding receptions usually. If we get called there, it's because something is, there's a problem of some type, whether it ends up being a fight or something
If
like
it's my
that.
daughter's wedding, you'll probably get called. No. I just overall have a real problem, and don't take this the wrong way, for a policeman, I have a real problem with the officer discretion part. We keep saying that and saying that and saying that. Whatever if we would go this direction, I think we need to do the best to take that out of the circumstance, because I can tell you 100 things like you're just talking, even from personal knowledge. We're at the lake. I can't control who all's coming, what kids are coming on a boat, stopping at my dock. And if an officer wants to get me, then am I going to get charged or not charged? And I had nothing to do with that person coming. So I think there's a lot of those types of situations that are just hard. I'm reading through this real quick. It's 3 people. What about my parental rights to have my 3 kids that are 18 to 21 years old drinking at my birthday party at my house?
That would not be addressed in it. That actually has provisions in there that a parent can allow their child under the age of 21 to drink in their own home with their permission. Now, if your children had friends over and you allowed them to drink, that's a different story. But parental consent is totally different.
It doesn't get into that whole, because that's a whole nother world.
Yeah, exactly. And I do believe it says that in here, that's a provision that's not counted. So.
Do you have any other questions for Mickey? Thank you. Item number 13, Webster County Agricultural Association Fair Board to present the update and review to the Board of Supervisors.
Well, this one won't be quite as confrontational. Would like to thank all the board members for your support, and hopefully for continued support. Some of the funding that you gave us last year, we installed furnaces in the indoor arena up at the north end. That way, that building is more functionally usable throughout the winter, so we can get some more venues in the winter time, not just the summer in the nice weather. We added additional lighting to the track and the fairgrounds with that funding. It helps in the safety aspect of it, and also at the grandstand, it again adds more viability to use it after daylight hours, so it makes it more functional. We provided that money was used for paint for the rest of the livestock buildings for the 4-H'ers to use, and we've used some of that for advertising and to finish our website, which we continue to update year after year, week after week practically sometimes. This year, some of our goals are, one, we need to remodel the kitchen in the main auditorium, bring it up to code, make it more functionable. It's dated. I mean, it's as old as the building is. I mean, it hasn't had anything done to it, so we need to renovate that. That's going to be a major undertaking financially. The next thing on our list, we want to update our camping sites, expand them. We found when it was a great thing when CJ Bio and Cargill and all them came to town, we had a whole bunch of contractors camping out there. It was very beneficial for us financially to be able to use that area. We found that we didn't have enough space. So we need to expand that space so as Fort Dodge continues to grow, we have an option rather than staying in a motel. Some of them can come out and camp. I know some will go to Candy, some will go to Brushy. The fairgrounds is also an option, and we found that they used it, and we had a lot of campers out there, so that was great. And we also want to continue to add more lighting. Lighting is expensive when you start putting in poles, trenching in wires. For a safety aspect, you can't have too much lighting. Because some of the venues, especially during the fair, they run after dark. So we're going to expand on our lighting even more, and we need to put more out the track to make that just a little bit more user-friendly also, and from a safety aspect. But you guys have been great. You've always supported us. We hope you continue that. You did a great job last year. I mean, it was so wet, such a wet summer. I think, Mark, you might have got us some rock in there to fill in the mud holes. It worked out great, and we couldn't do it without you, because this is good for the kids. It's good education. Maybe somebody wants to come out during the fair and put on an alcohol presentation. We're always looking for guest speakers, so we'll hope to get the kids to listen or attend, but hey, it's one function you guys could use too. So that'd be great. That's all I have. Did anybody have any questions for us?
Questions for the fair?
We're open to suggestions. If there's anything that the community thinks that would make the fairgrounds more viable, or you would like to see changed out there, it's for everybody. It's not just for the 4-H and for the kids. It's a rentable venue. It's there for everybody. So we're open to suggestions. We have suggestion boxes posted, so don't fill them up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizens' opportunity to address the board with items not on the agenda. Board of Supervisor Committee reports.
I guess I had a CVB meeting last Thursday, and Matt Cosgrove came in and asked for, he made a request for $5,000. They're gonna have a event here in the fall. They're gonna bring people from all over the state in to showcase Webster County and all the things we have for conservation. And I like to say CVB, because we usually don't honor the whole pipe, whatever they ask for, but they did give them $5,000 to pay for the buses, to help pay for the buses to haul them around. So if you do have an activity coming to town, don't forget CVB's there, and they can help you out with your activities, and that was just one of them. We thought it was a good event. We did the whole thing. So that's about it.
A couple quick things. I want to thank the leadership group for coming last week, took a tour of the courthouse on Thursday. Thank you to the department heads that came over, sat out, and gave some very nice presentations. Clark represented us, so thank you. Congratulate the city on their